Hello again. Looking at two albums here that are connected in a way, Blink 182's Enema of the State and Plus 44. So they're connected, of course, because two of the members of Blink went on to form Plus 44 after, what's his name? Tom DeLonge left Blink 182. So this was Blink 182's, I think, was it their third album? Don't actually know. It came out in 1999. And I remember at that time, I was a teenager, almost out of teenager years. Was I out of teenage years? Um, and that was huge. It was played everywhere. Like, if you went out to a party or something, or driving the car on the radio or music TV or whatever, in shops, it seemed like a huge album. And I also remember that Blink 182 toured here for it. They came to the Big Day Out, which is a musical festival in the year 2000, so the year after, and they played a pretty huge set, as in they had a massive crowd. They played I remember, the late afternoon, so it was hot as hell, but um, it was a great show, and they were kind of at their peak. I wonder if they was their peak, but it was a year after this came out, so they were pretty huge. And it's a good album. It deserves its popularity. It's just at a easiest way describing it is pop punk, because that's really what it is. You can see here that the original price was $30. So in 1999, they were selling this for $30. If I tried to buy this new now, which would be a struggle, wouldn't it? Doubt I'm going to find it new, but if you did, it would probably be less than $30. Um, I got this secondhand for, I would have guessed, I can't remember exactly, but it would have been about $1. Condition is fine. Someone has written their initial here, which is something people have a tendency to do, NB. That's fine, doesn't really bother me. The disc is fine, doesn't have any, it's actually, there's a little bit of a scratch here on the edge, but that's fine. It's a good album because it's got good songs. It's one of those albums I feel doesn't have a lot of filler. It kind of, as a lot most pop punk albums do, they kind of get to the point. The songs aren't too long. Um, Dump Weed, Don't Leave Me, Aliens Exist. Three great songs to start off with, all very catchy, energetic, which I guess is the idea, isn't it? And they've got the lyrics throughout with a kind of design design style, kind of reminiscent of a medicine or something, because that matches with the nurse. Was her name Janie Lindemir? She was a adult actress in the late 90s. I think she was the first or one of the wives of Jesse James, the guy who did Monster Garage and married Sandra Bullock and then cheated on her. I think that was his first wife. So there is Travis Barker, who is the drummer. There is Mark, was it Hoppus, the bassist, bassist vocalist. And where's Tom? Oh, there. There's Tom DeLonge, guitarist, vocalist. They're in it a few times. Of course, the big singles from this album were All the Small Things and What's My Age Again. What's My Age Again in particular was huge. Adam's Song, which is supposed to be their what do you call it? Their thoughtful, slower and more thoughtful song. It's not really slow, but it's about. I think it's about teenage depression and where that can lead, if you know what I mean. So at least they're trying to approach an important topic in a non-jokey way. Um, but often when bands like that do that, bands like this do that kind of thing. Some people kind of like go, "Oh, they don't take it seriously. They kind of think it's not, I don't mean they think it's a joke. I mean they think, oh, the band, it's a they're always joking about everything else or not really serious or why they're doing that kind of song. And this band, when I say a joke band, they're not a joke band, but they did approach things in their videos, especially in this period, with humor, running around naked in What's My Age Again? Was it All the Small Things? No, it was What's My Age Again. And uh, mocking bands, boy bands, and stuff like that in their video for All the Small Things. And but I think, yeah, for that kind of music, I'm not the hugest fan of pop punk, but for that kind of music, I think this is one of the best representations of that, of a mainstream one. I don't know. I'm sure. I don't want to say it's the best because I'm sure there are other bands that are better that I don't even know about. But of the ones that hit big, like Sum 41, these guys, Simple Plan. I can't think of all the other ones that were around. I guess Green Day were kind of a little bit more towards the punk side as opposed to the pop punk. Well, of course they were pop punk, but I think this album is a pretty good representation of it, and it's a solid album with, like I said, not a lot of filler. And, pretty good songwriting for that kind of music. Now they went on and released a bunch of albums after this. That, especially the one after this, was a Take Off Your Pants and Jacket. That did well, and then the self-titled album, which the singles from I listened to, but I didn't really appreciate as much. Was that the one that had Miss You? Actually, no, it was Miss You and Down. That from Blink 182 self-titled thing. It was. Actually, that album did do well then. What am I saying? It didn't do so well. This one sold between 15 and 20 million albums worldwide, which is pretty huge. So, as a comparison, excuse me. Okay, so yeah, it didn't sell. 7 million for Blink 182 self-titled worldwide. So it sold half as much, but still 7 million. In 2003, that's when things are starting to bite for physical music sales. That's still pretty big. But it was around that time, but maybe a bit after that, when Tom DeLonge decided he wanted to leave the band, that he felt he couldn't express himself creatively the way he wanted with the constraints of being in a pop punk Blink 182 style band. And so he left and he formed Angels and Airwaves, which actually I have. Why didn't I include that with that? Hang on, I'm going to pause this. I'm back. And I just realized I have an Angels and Airwaves. I got this as recently, within the last 2 or 3 months. You don't need to whisper. I listened to this through and I was decidedly underwhelmed. I he felt I remember he talked this up a lot when he left and he made this, Tom DeLonge. But I think I heard the singles at the time, but having listened through to the whole thing, and sometimes you can't get the feel of an album properly with just one listen. But with that one listen, I just thought, eesh. Not eesh, that's terrible, but just kind of, yeah, that was a whole bunch of nothing, I think I got more feeling from this one. Plus 44 is what Travis and Mark, what the bassist and drummer, what they went on to form with a couple of other guys. And this was more in the vein of Blink 182. You could see the direct line between the two, but with a bit more. There were some electronic elements and different songwriting approaches. Like I heard that they tried to use influence from The Cure. Not sure I can hear that, but I don't think it's a bad album. It's not a great album either, but it's not bad. But apparently it didn't do very well, and it underperformed to the extent that neither they nor the label felt they wanted to go on and do a second album. And I think they also got distracted by other things. That was also around the time that Travis Barker had that plane crash and suffered pretty horrific injuries, burns, and maybe that was a big reason why they didn't carry the band on either. But the song that I heard first was When Your Heart Stops Beating, which is also the name of the album, which is one of the singles. And that's a pretty good song. It's got a good insistent drum beat. You can see here, this case is from the period, I think this is 2007 this was released, where they tried to improve on the tried and tested old plastic case. You can see here it's had rounded edges, had like almost like a button here to release this. The teeth, jewel teeth thing, are much sturdier. There's 4 pickup points to kind of get the edge and pry the CD out. It's just all around much sturdier. This feels like if you dropped it from a height, it would survive a lot better than these ones, because these ones don't have the protection and they would open a lot easier and kind of CD would fly out. You can also see they have holders for the booklet on both the left and the right. So okay, I understand what they're going for, but then how do you get the booklet out without bending it? Or, see? How am I going to get that out? Does it see? It doesn't slip up that way because there's 2 stoppers on the top and the bottom as well. So you basically have to kind of bend it, or to get it from out underneath those little things. What were they thinking? So yeah, there's a few albums I've got. I remember also the Metallica Death Magnetic, which came out in 2008, I think. Also had the same CD case design, but they've kind of done away with that since. You don't see it around now. Nowadays it's much more common to see the cardboard case, which is in this kind of not that shape, but that kind of card with either with a pocket or then the plastic jewel case glued into the card, which is really hard to keep it in good condition because obviously. So yeah, I don't have any other Blink albums. If I came across them, I pick them up secondhand, but it's not the kind of band you see around a lot secondhand. I think there are a few more Angels and Airwaves albums, but I don't think you're going to see them for sale secondhand, because for things to be sold for secondhand, they have to have sold relatively well in the initial release. And I think after the first album, they kind of, at least as far as I can see, they dropped off the radar of everything. Anyway, Blink have got back together now, and they're going to do a tour. Mark was diagnosed with cancer a few years ago, and it seems like he's in remission, and he beat it, which is great. And I guess when things like that happen in life, you realize life is short, and maybe because Tom is the one who's been holding up the reunion. He seems more interested in investigating aliens and things like that. But maybe he realized, life is short and you never know what tomorrow is going to bring. So it's best to, make hay while the sun shines. And, but yeah, I think they've put out some good music together and some okay music apart, but certainly I think they work well and better as those 3 guys in a band. And yeah. So that is my Blink 182 and Blink 182 adjacent collection. Thank you for watching.